All right, guys, welcome. This is the first of our review classes for our new defense class. And thank you guys for allowing me to do this on Monday afternoon instead of Sunday afternoon. Ordinarily, these will be held on Sunday afternoons at 1:30. So in the future, that's what we'll be doing. Today, as you know, Super Bowl party from yesterday interfered with our afternoon review. So we're doing it today. Okay, in the defense class, we are going to be going through this defense book, Defense in the 21st Century. And we're going to be going through it pretty much straight through. We're starting off this first week with chapters 1 and 2, and both chapters 1 and 2 have to do with opening leads. So the first chapter is opening leads against no trump contracts. Second one is opening leads against suit contracts. Then next week or this week, week 2, we're going to be covering the next 2 chapters, which is third hand play and second hand play. So that's chapters 3 and 4 we'll be doing this week. And then the third week, next week, we'll be talking about defensive signals. And we'll spend all class on defensive signals because these are the most important things. The leads, the play, second hand low, third hand high, and when to do and when not to do that. And then defensive signals are all the key ingredients of this class. Then the last week, we'll be putting the last 3 chapters together of the book, chapters 6, 7, and 8. And those will cover some refinements to what we've already learned during so far in the class. As you guys know, and we've talked about this before, when we first start out in beginning bridge, you spend a lot of time learning the bidding because the bidding you have to understand, and bidding is a thing that's really different about bridge as compared to other trick-taking games you play. It's one of the really fun things about bridge is the bidding systems and the way those work and memorizing that. So we spent a lot of time with those. But we don't spend so much time with play of the hand and defense. Play of the hand, though, you can bid the best of your ability. And if you don't know how to work things out with play of the hand and how to make plans and how to get the most out of it, you're not going to be very successful in bridge. And then the last thing we do is defense. But defense is 50% of the game of bridge. 50% of the time you're playing on defense. And you're also always playing at a disadvantage when you're playing on defense because the declarer can see 50% of the cards. They can see their cards and they can see the dummies cards. And that gives them control over all the cards that they need to have control over. Defense, as opposed, you can see your cards and the dummies cards, but the key person you can't see is your partner's cards. And so this puts defense at a disadvantage because in order for you to construct a good defense, you have to have some idea about what cards are in your partner's hands. You can do that in some ways, sometimes by listening to the bidding, by what your partner has said and did not say during the bidding process. You can start to draw some inferences about what might be in their hand. But outside of that, the only other thing you have to do is how you communicate and play the cards that you have in your hand and how you watch what your partner is doing and playing out of their hand. So that's the whole thing about learning bridge. Is that Lorraine Jacob in the house? What are Rena in here?
Pat.
Come on.
And Pat, what the heck?
Yeah,
Karen,
it's your
you're in
fan
big
club.
trouble, my
It's your
friend.
fan club. We're here today.
Okay, all right. Well, you guys chime in anytime I
Oh,
go
yeah.
astray
Oh,
on
I'm
this.
sure that would
Okay?
be very
Appreciate that,
appreciated.
so.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, now where was I? I've completely lost my train of thought. So no. Okay, so no, we were talking about communication in the defensive play process, and that's what we're going to spend all 4 weeks talking about is how to glean information about what your partner's doing and how to give partner information about what you're doing. And that starts with the very opening lead. Just as play the hand, you have to make a plan before you start. In defense, you have kind of the opening salvo in this competition we're having with play of the hand, and that you get to lead first. And that kind of sets the tone for how you're going to do. There's two different ways to think of leads. And the first one is if we are talking about a no trump contract. So on a no trump contract, what are we usually looking for in no trump? What would you think the defense would be against no trump? What would we try to do?
High cards and length.
Length. Try to find high cards are good, but we're trying to find length. We're trying to find ways that we can interfere with what the declarer is trying to do as far as setting up his own suits while we set up our suits, because that's usually the way to defeat a no trump contract. As opposed to a suit contract, what do you think we're usually trying to do?
Take tricks with trump.
Take tricks with high cards or avoid losing tricks to opponents' trumps. And so usually in a suit contract, you have to set up things quickly. You have to find the high cards in your hand and your partner's hand before the opponents get to trump in, because the trump suit's a very powerful advantage for them to have. So let's talk first of all then about no trump leads. Leading against no trump contracts. And we're going to talk about this in two parts. The first thing we're going to talk about is choosing the suit. What suit do you want to choose to lead? And then second part, what card in the suit do you want to lead? So once you've chosen the suit, what card? Well, the first thing is easy. If partner has bid, lead that suit. So in a no trump contract, if your partner has bid, lead that suit, assuming it was a suit that they bid because of length, which, it would be if they're doing an overcall, it's supposed to be a 5-card strong suit. So if they have bid in a no trump situation that's wound up in a no trump contract for the declare, then you're going to lead partner's suit. Even if you have a giantly solid suit of your own, you need to lead your partner's suit. If you have the giantly solid suit of your own in your hand, and you can take the ace, king, queen, jack, 10 of the suit before you set up your partner's suit, then maybe it's okay to play your suit first. Otherwise, play your partner's suit first. Lead your partner's suit. Your partner has already told you that they had a good suit, and so you should believe them and you should lead that suit. You can then give partners signals if you have something to come back on in your own. But if you aren't absolutely positive that you've got a better, more solid suit than they do, then best you lead what they told you to lead from the very beginning. Otherwise,
Even if it's a minor.
it doesn't make any difference, because when bidding, minor versus major makes a big difference, because that's how the scoring works. We get a lot more points for a major suit than a minor suit. Play of the hand, a minor suit and a major suit's the same. Tricks are the same, major suit or minor suit. So it doesn't make any difference. Now, in no trump, if they have not bid a major suit, because we prefer major suits, we would have a tendency to lead major suits. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But for actual just play, whether or not I have a good major suit and partner has a good minor suit does not make any difference from the number of tricks we'll get to take.
But if the minor bid could be a short diamond suit
Right.
or a short club, then if it looks like that's what our partner bid, we don't lead to that.
Exactly right. That's why I'm saying if
Okay.
partner has made a bid that indicates in any way that is a suit, then you would lead that suit. Okay.
Even if he opens one club.
No, that's exactly what Mary just said. No, if
Yeah.
it's something that we assume is not a real suit.
Okay, okay.
Even then, if you don't have anything else to lead, I would still consider leading clubs,
Okay.
because, yes, the chances is that's not a real suit. But unless you have a good suit of your own,
Okay.
probably still lead the club. But in that case, my suit doesn't have to be as good as it needs to be to overcome a serious suit that's been overcalled by partner. when
Okay,
Or
okay.
opened like one of a major where they do have
Okay.
that suit. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first thing. Lead partner suit if partner has bid. The second thing is your own suit. If you have your own good suit, and by the way, it's going to be best if you have your books available because we are going to look at some examples in the book as we talk about this. The second thing is to lead your own suit. And that is if you have a good long suit to lead, and ordinarily that's going to be your longest suit. Okay. Even if you have a stronger, shorter suit, you usually get the most bang for your buck by leading a long suit. So if you have a good 5-card suit and a not so good 6-card suit, lead the 6-card suit. If you have a really good 5-card suit and a not so good 5-card suit, then lead the better of the 2 equal length suits. But if you've got one that's longer than the other, then it's usually best to lead the longer one. If you don't have a suit of your own, and if partner hasn't bid, then the last thing to do is, or the next thing to do is pick an unbid suit to lead. If the opponents have bid a couple of suits and you don't really have a suit and your partner doesn't really have a suit, then pick an unbid suit to lead. Sometimes every suit that you have an option to lead has been bid. If that's the case, then you want to lead the one that was bid by the person that turned out to be the dummy. Does this make sense to everybody? And why would that be, do you think?
Probably because there's a weakness or shortness in the dummy.
Well, no, because they bid the suit. If we have to
Oh, sorry.
lead a suit that was bid,
Yeah,
if Declare bid a suit and dummy bid a suit, we
yeah.
want to choose to lead the one dummy bid. And why would that be? That's my question.
Well, you protect your partner from getting her trick taken by the declarer. I mean, if the strength is likely in the dummy, then you're gonna run through the dummy and maybe they can take the ace over there, but
Exactly right. Lead through the strength on the board because that puts your partner behind the strength. So that makes it worse for the declarer to have to play second hand with the strength. So if you have to lead an unbid a bid suit and it's the dummies, that's okay. Practically never lead the bid suit that was declarers. The only exception to that would be pretty much if they opened a club and you're pretty sure it was a short club and that's your suit, then you might want to lead it. But anyway, but lead an unbid suit if that's the best thing, if that's your option. And then the last thing in picking the suit to lead is to consider the contract. If you're playing 3-no trump, then the contract's probably not so important. But if they're playing 6-no trump and you've got the ace king of a suit, lead that suit. Whatever the contract is, if you see a way to put that down, go ahead and do that. Because if you have enough tricks in your hand to defeat a contract at 3-no trump, that usually doesn't happen. But if it does happen, that's what you should do, even if the rules tell you to do something else. Okay, I'm going to page 7 now, actually going over to page 8. And we're talking about leading the partner's suit. I also wanted to point out, and I will send you this afterwards. Not everybody was in class, I don't think. We do have a handout on opening leads. And let me share it here. Okay, here is the opening lead handout. And so, and we were kind of going down through here, but we're talking about first picking the suit to lead. Now we're going to talk about picking the card to lead. So when we are leading partner's suit, because that's our first choice of what to do, we're going to lead the top card from a doubleton. Over at the top of page 8, it tells us this. So if we've got a doubleton, we'll lead the top card in that suit. Otherwise, if we have more than a doubleton, we will lead the top of touching honors. If you have the ace king or the king queen or the queen jack, it's pretty clear. The book even gives you the example of the 10-9. And the 10 is an honor, and it's not touching an honor, but at least it is an honor touching the card below it. That's less clear than some of these other leads. Otherwise, it said lead low. Now, I want to point out something here that we're going to do in this class that the book doesn't really talk about. It alludes to it down at the bottom of the page, but we're going to use a system called Boston. B-O-S-T-O-N. B, bottom, O, of, S, something, T, top, O, of, N, nothing. Boston, bottom of something, top of nothing. So if you are leading a suit that you have something in, you have face cards in the suit, it's not a bad suit for you, even may not be a great suit, but you have something outside of low cards in the suit, you lead a low card. If you have nothing in the suit and you need to lead that suit for some reason, lead the top, but by definition, if you have nothing in the suit, you have like your high card's going to be like a 9 or 8, a 7, maybe a 6. That's nothing. So if you have something, which means basically if you have honors or face card in a suit, and so that's something, you'll lead a low card. If you have just small cards in the suit, you'll lead the highest of the small cards that you have. It's really clear if you have like a 9, an 8, or a 7, that's always pretty clearly the top of nothing. But sometimes even a 6 or a 5 can be the top of nothing, and partner's going to have to need to watch your second card to see which it was, particularly if you're in that situation. We're going to learn throughout here that you've got to watch what partner plays and kind of draw inferences from it. If my partner leads the 5 of the suit I bid, I'm going to assume they have high cards in that suit until I watch their second and third and they lead the 5, then they play the 4 and the 3. Now I know, well, that was actually the top of nothing. They've got nothing in that suit. But sometimes it's kind of hard to see. So playing defense, unfortunately, means you sort of have to pay attention the whole time to play a good, positive defense. There's not much that you can do just by yourself on defense. It requires cooperation with the partner, and that's a large part of what we're going to be learning in the defense class is how to communicate through signals and through what we choose to do and not do, what we might have in the suit. So if you look at where it's telling you to lead low, there at the top of page 8, their third bullet point there, otherwise lead low. Following Boston, for the king 8-3, we would lead the 3. And for the queen 9-4-2, we would lead the 2. Both of those we would lead low because we have something in partner's suit. But in the 9-7-6, under using the principle of Boston, we would lead the 9. And that would say, partner, I'm leading your suit, but I don't have anything else for you in this suit. It also could be a doubleton.
This only applies to partner suit.
Boston applies to everything. What we're talking about right now is leading partner suit. It's not so important when we're leading partner suit because partner knows we're leading the suit because they bid the suit. It's partner suit. Boston becomes a little bit more important when we're leading our own suit because we're giving information about our suit. But still, it's best to learn the principle and use it no matter where we are. One of the reasons we do this is the principle that we learned back in Play of the Hand of leading the high card from the low side first. So we don't want to block our hand from our partner's hand. So when we have things like high cards in partner suit, especially if they're touching honors, it's good to lead the top of touching honors. It also, if we have several cards in the suit and we play the lower one first, partner knows we have something, they can come back to us to see if they can catch us with the high card that we have. All of these help keep the suit from becoming blocked, which is more important in no trump than it is in a suit contract, because in a suit contract, it usually doesn't apply. You're going to get trumped before you have to worry about blocking a suit. But in no trump, if one of you has the longer suit, you want to make sure that you don't get blocked from being able to play lead partner suit back to them when they have good cards in the suit. Okay, so that's mainly leading which card to lead out of partner suit. So if partner has bid a suit and we have a doubleton, we'll lead the top card. If we have touching honors, we'll lead one of the touching honors. And if we otherwise, if we have multiple cards in there, we'll use Boston. We will lead a low card if we have a high card in the suit, and we'll lead a high card if we have nothing in the suit. All right, so now I'm over on page 12. And on page 12, we're talking about our own suit, leading our own long suit, which is, you know, what we like to do in no trump when we have a long suit. So when we lead our own long suit, just as we have learned from our play of the hand class and just beginning bridge class, we usually lead the top of touching honors. And that's a great thing to do, because if we lead a face card, an ace, king, queen, jack, or even 10, we're saying we have the card below it. And as I've already said, you can't know a lot about your partner's hand, so you want to choose any way you can to communicate something about your hand. And this is one of the best ways to do it. If you have a face card and you lead it, that means you have the one below it. It means a little bit even more, though, when you do this in no trump. In a no trump contract, if you lead a face card, it means you have 3 honors. It's not true in a suit contract. In a suit contract, if you lead a face card, it means you have the one below it and you may have only 2. But in no trump, if you lead a face card, you have the one below it and you must have 3, and the third one may not be the third in line. So if you have the ace, king, queen, you lead the ace. If you have the king, queen, jack, you lead the king. If you have the queen, jack, 10, you lead the queen. That's really clear. But if you have what's called a broken sequence or an interior sequence, it changes a little bit. A broken sequence is like king, queen, 10. We're missing the jack. That's a broken sequence. So we would still lead the king because we lead the top of touching honors. But we need to know in no trump that if we lead the king in no trump, we either have the king, queen, jack, or we have the king, queen, 10. Does this make sense to everybody? In no trump, if we lead an honor, we're promising 3 honors, and we're promising that the honor we're leading has another one touching it. Now, it's a little bit different if you have what's called an interior sequence, and that would be like the ace, queen, jack. Now we're missing a card in between, and the lower ones are the ones that are touching. Well, we follow our same principle that we lead the top of touching honors. So in this case, we would lead the queen when we have the ace, queen, jack. We would lead the queen, but our partner would know that we have the queen, jack, 10, or we may have the queen, jack, ace. Okay? We can't have the king, queen, jack, because if we did, we would have led the king, the top of touching honors.
So Sally, in that interior sequence, when you lead that queen, you can still lead that queen even if you don't have the 10, correct? It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter, but it does matter that you have three honors.
Real.
Yeah. Now, usually partner can figure out which you've got by looking at dummy in his hand. Because you've told partner that you have three honors when you lead. You said, I've got three honors.
But so the Queen Jack 9 in this example, the 9 would be considered an honor?
No, it wouldn't be considered an honor because it's not touching an honor.
But it says to lead the queen in there.
Yeah, I know. I don't like that.
You don't like that?
I don't like that.
Okay,
No.
so you don't agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I
Okay,
see why they're doing it, but I don't agree with that.
okay, thanks.
I would
But-
lead out of that sequence the 6.
It seems like often you have doubleton with a face card. How does your partner know if you're leading the top of a doubleton or?
Well, when you're leading your own suit, you're not going to lead a doubleton. And no trump.
Okay, got it.
So when you're leading partner suit, it may be a doubleton because you're required to lead partner suit. But leading your own suit, you're not going to be leading a doubleton. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so whatever you lead, partner's going to be able most times to figure out what it is because partner can see their hand and they can see dummy. And usually whatever questions they might have about where the missing honor is answered by seeing those. Not always, because it could be that one of them is concealed in declarer's hand. You know, you can't always 100% tell, but usually you can tell what's going on if you're paying attention and figuring it out. So the important things to remember are in no trump, when you're leading your own suit, you're promising 3 honors in the suit. If you lead an honor, you're promising the one below what you led and another one. So that's the rules for leading your own suit in no trump. Now, if you don't have touching honors in your suit, or you don't have 3 honors in your suit, then you lead the 4th down in your suit. The 4th down, and we're always going to, as we said, choose the suit that's the longest suit. So the 4th down, once we've chosen the suit, if we can't lead an honor because we don't have 3 or we don't have touching, because you might have the ace, queen, 10, then you don't have touching honors. You've got 3 honors, but nothing's touching. So you can't lead an honor then. So you would lead 4th down. Now, the reason we lead 4th down, and I think it's a good idea just always to lead 4th down, but the reason for 4th down applies mainly in no trump. And the reason we do that is because of a rule called the rule of 11. There's all kinds of rules in bridge, the rule of 15, the rule of 20, the rule of 7. We learned the rule of 7 in our play of the hand class. But the rule of 11 applies on defense to no trump leads. And what it says is, and it's described on page 26 in your book, what it says is that if partner leads, and this is for the partner of the person who's leading, that it's useful, rule of 11 is useful for. You take the spot that partner led and subtract it from 11, and that tells you the number of cards that are out that are higher than that card. You can see your hand and you can see the dummy's hand, so that tells you how many higher cards are out in declarer's hand in the suit that partner led. So let's say that partner leads the 5 of diamonds, and you subtract the 5 from 11, that's 6. That says that there are 6 cards out higher than the 5 between the 3 hands. Well, you can see your hand, you know how many you have. You can see declares, dummy's hand, you know how many they have. So that tells you how many are left in declarer's hand. And this helps you sometimes know whether or not you need to play high or whether or not you can let something ride. It also tells you whether or not it's likely that you should return your partner's lead. Now, you should nearly always return your partner's lead anyway, but sometimes the rule of 11 can give you the advice that it's probably not going to be beneficial to return partner's lead because you know that there are too many out and you can see where the other ones are or aren't. And so you know what must be left in declarer's hand. You know that they have that suit stopped 2 or 3 times. So that's what you use the rule of 11 for. That's why we use that fourth leading from the fourth highest in your hand. Any questions? Let's look at page 20 because there's some examples here. Let's go through those real quick and see what we'd lead. Looking on page 20. So the first one up at the top of page 20, you can see the hand there. Our longest suit is the ace, jack, 6, 4, 3. So we want to lead that suit. And which card would we lead out of that suit?
4.
The 4. Fourth down from our longest suit. Let's look at the next one. Here we don't have a really long suit. We've got 2 4-card suits though. So we're going to lead one of those. And out of the 2 equal length ones, the one that's the king, queen, jack is stronger than just the king, jack, right? So
Right.
out of the heart suit, which we would want to lead, which card would we lead?
Okay.
The king. The king promises which cards?
The 2 below, the queen and the jack.
Does it promise for sure the queen and the jack?
Well, it promises 1 below. It promises
promised-
1
and which
below.
one?
But it could be king, queen, 10, couldn't it?
It could be, yes.
Okay.
It
Promises the
promises the
queen.
queen.
It promises a total of 3 on.
That's right. So it promises the queen in either the jack or the 10. Let's look at the next one then. Here again, we do have a long suit. We have a 5-card suit. And so we want to lead diamonds. And which diamond do we want to lead?
10.
Well, the book says the 10, but the 8 is the 4th down. So what do?
I would lead the 8. I don't like the book answer. You know, I mean, you can make the argument the 10 is an honor and it promises the 2 below it, or the, in this case, 1 below it and 1 above it. But I think it's too ambiguous, you know? So I would lead the 8, but either one you could live with as long as you and your partner both agree to the same thing on that. Which you and your partner should have a discussion about defense once you get to playing with a regular partner, which really improves your bridge game. I mean, it's good to play with a variety of partners. You know, you learn a lot from everybody you play with, particularly if you play up. You know, if you play with people that are better than you, you'll find you learn a lot more. But it's good to have a partner that you can really discuss things with, and so you can be sure that you're following the same rules. Let's look at the next one.
The 7.
Yes, the 7.
And again, is that just because it's ambiguous?
Yes, and this is even easier to me because, yeah.
You
I-
don't have
if
3
I have
on
the
it,
10,
right?
but I don't have the 10. So I've
Yeah.
only got really 2 honors.
Yeah, you
That's
don't have
just
3
the
on
top of touching honors that you do in a regular, you know, suit.
Why does the book say the queen? I'm just kind of curious. Is that just how she plays?
Well, I'm not quite sure because we just went through the whole thing in the beginning of
Yeah.
this section about you have to have 3
Yeah.
honors. So I don't know how this gets to
Maybe
3 honors.
she's considering the 9 to be an honor.
Yeah, well, I don't know of any definition where the 9 is an honor. So
I know, I
Yeah.
know.
there's several things in this book. This book hasn't been updated for a while. The Play of the Hand is newly updated. I'm kind of interested to see if some of this gets updated when she does it. She also doesn't use Boston, which I think is really a lot of people use now. So anyway, so I think this may get changed by then, but so we'll be loose, but as long as you have a reason for what you've done, I can live with it. Let's look at the last one on the page then. On this one, again, we've got a long suit, hearts. So we want to pick that. And which card?
Or
The fourth. Fourth down. Yeah. Okay, so that is leading against no trump contracts. First thing is lead your partner suit. Second thing is lead your own suit. If you're leading your partner suit, use Boston, top of something, bottom of nothing, top of a doubleton, touching honors. If you're leading your own suit, use our rules about honors, that if you lead touching honors, you have 3 honors, otherwise lead fourth down. And if your partner makes a low card lead of their suit at no trump, as the partner of that person, you should be using the rule of 11 to figure out how many high cards are out and look to see where they are so you can figure out how many of those declarer has. There's a really good summary of this on page 25 and then this handout. This is a summary. This handout has a summary of what we've just discussed. So questions on no trump leads. Then let's scoot over to suit contract leads.
Will be mailed.
Okay, so when we are leading against a suit contract, we don't have time to develop suits. What we want to find is the quickest way to find the high cards, the winning tricks that we have between our suit and our partner suit. So that the strong high cards that we have, that's what we're looking for. They're not so important in no trump. They're useful, but not so important in no trump as it is to find the winning tricks between your hand and partner's hand, because rarely do you get to develop your own suit. You may get to develop your own suit, but usually it's because you've knocked out the strength somehow in declarer suit to allow you to develop your own suit. So we're really looking for strength, not length, when we talk about suit contracts. So the first rule is just like in no trump, if partner is bid, lead partner suit. In the whole assessment of blame phase at the end of the hand, if your partner is bid, it's better for you to have led their suit unless there is a real reason not to. So mostly we want to lead partner suit. One thing that we want to not think of as first thing to do is a lot of people get in the bad habit and have heard the phrase, when in doubt, lead trump. Well, that's sort of true, but people think that they're in doubt way more often than they are. Usually there's a much better lead to make, and it's only if you really would be in trouble by leading something else, or if you think that they are going to be trumping in dummy or something like that, that you would lead trump first. So let's get rid of that for a minute. We'll talk about that at the end of this chapter. So don't do this thing about leading trump first off. That should be not that often. Occasionally you'll lead trump, but not very often, not as often as a lot of people do, because they say, oh, well, I'll just lead trump. I don't know what else to lead. We're going to find some better leads. And the first of the better leads is lead your partner suit if they have bid a suit. And use the same rules that we used before about leading partner suit, just as we did under no trump. You lead the top of a doubleton, you lead the top of touching honors, and otherwise you lead Boston, bottom of something, top of nothing. So that's pretty easy and straightforward, leading your partner suit if they have bid. Now, if they have not bid, you're going to need to choose your own suit to lead. And just as we talked about before, it's usually better not to lead a suit that the opponents have bid. If you do want to lead a suit that the opponents have bid, it's best not to consider one that was led by that was bid by the declarer. If you have to lead a bid suit, choose one that was bid by the dummy, because then you'll be leading through the dummy to your partner and the chance that they may have something. What we would like to see is, if you want to lead your own suit, that you lead from a sequence, that you have a sequence of high cards. And if you lead a high card, if you lead an honor against a suit contract, you're promising the top of touching honors. So you're promising the one below it, not 3 like you are promising in no trump. In a suit contract, you're just promising that you have one other honor. You may have more, but you're only promising one other one, the one right below it. So this is a good thing. If you have a sequence, lead the top. If you lead a high card against either no trump or a suit, you're promising the one below it. If you lead an honor, you're promising a touching honor, which is very valuable information to give your partner. As we've said, the communication on defense is critical. And so if you've got a piece of information you can give your partner, it's best to do that. So if you have touching honors, lead touching honors. Now, if you don't have a suit of your own to lead, to encourage something, because you don't have something strong in a suit like touching honors, you maybe have a good suit that you think may be developed later, then you may lead fourth down from that suit. Partner's not going to be thinking probably too much about setting up the suit then, because we got trumps to worry about. But once trumps are out of the way, if you've got a good suit, they may be able to come back with that. And again, if you're trying to set up a suit that the opponents have bid, don't even try if it's declarer suit, but you might consider it if it's dummy suit. So then the next thing to consider is leading a short suit. Now, a lot of times, if we don't have the bad habit of leading trump first, we do get in the bad habit of leading a short suit, always. And we need to think about that. Frequently, it is good. If you have a singleton and your partner can take that and lead back to you, that's great. That means your partner gets a trick and you get a roughing trick right away. You know, sometimes it's really hard for a declarer to defend against that and to set up something of his own. So it can be a really good thing. But we need to think about what has to happen in that situation. If you lead a singleton, partner needs to be pretty clear it's a singleton, first of all. Okay, and that's not always clear. Partner needs to be able to win the trick and then lead back to you, and you have to have trump to trump with. So a singleton usually is pretty good. A doubleton just usually doesn't work very well. Sometimes it does. If the ingredients are just there, it's going to work. But more often what I see happens with a doubleton is I lead the top of a doubleton. My partner doesn't have anything, and I manage to set up the opponent's suit as soon as they lead trump. Because if I don't have many in the suit, there's 3 other people at the table, and the chances of them being split between, you know, the people I don't want them to be split between is usually great. So with a doubleton, really think about it. Now, if your partner has been bidding, or if we're at a low contract, and so it's pretty clear that your partner has some points, then maybe they can win something and send it back to you. So that's got to be part of the ingredient. Is there any chance in the world that your partner is going to be able to win, especially win twice if you have a doubleton, and send something back to you? You know, unless that's the case, then there's not too much point in trying that. And the second thing is, do you have some trump yourself? If you only got a couple of little trump and you don't think partner's going to be able to send anything back to you, by the time partner can send something back to you, your trump are going to be gone. So the best time to think about leading from shortness is if you have some trump in your hand and you think partner may have something. If you've got strength in your hand and the opponents have bid to game, your partner doesn't have much. So, it's not too often that they're going to be able to come in, win the trick, and send it back. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Sometimes that's the only thing you have. If you don't have anything else, you might as well try that. Just it works less often than it seems like it would. Singletons are better. Doubletons rarely really work out unless we're at low level. Your partner's got something and you've got a trump stack. Another thing to consider though about shortness is when you have what's called a trump stack, when you know they've got a bad split and you're the one that has the bulk of the cards in their bad split, is how high are your cards? If you have the king, queen, jack, or the ace, king, queen in their suit, well, if you can trump with a little one, that's good. But if you are going to trump a short behind your short suit with one of their high trump, wouldn't you rather use your high trump to pull in two of theirs while they try to pull your trump than just taking, one that you're going to be entitled to anyway? So if you've got strong trump, even if, and particularly if you have a doubleton, but even if you got a singleton, you might think about leading something else. So I'm just saying, don't always just jump in because you've got a singleton. I mean, it's good a lot of the time, but it's not always the right thing to do because of all the ingredients that have to happen to make that work really well. And also the fact that just because you lead a card, your partner is thinking, what is that card? If they've been bidding back and forth the second suit, they've wound up with the trump contract, but they were also bidding another suit. And so, they've got two good suits. Then your partner leads that suit. Yes, then that probably is a singleton. That's good. But otherwise, if your partner just leads a card, how do you know that card's a singleton? And your partner's got to know that, and they should lead back what you led, but it makes it kind of ambiguous. Okay, so then leading a long suit, if you have a very long suit, you nearly have a really good chance of getting that trumped in the very beginning. So that's not often a very good lead. But if you have four or more trump, so you've got a trump stack, it's going to be hard for them to pull your trump. They're going to having to be pulling your trump while you're trying to set up your suit. Then it is a good idea to lead a long suit that you have, because by the time they draw your trump, your suit will be set up. And if partner has any way to get back to you, or you have another entry in your hand, then you may be able to defeat them, the contract, because you have set up your long suit, because you had enough trump that you could run them out of trump and still set up your suit. Does that make sense to people? Just things to think about as you're deciding what's to lead against a suit contract. So then let's come back to this idea about leading a trump against a suit contract. And there are really two times to do it. One time to do it is if you think that they are sacrificing, and that part of their sacrifice has to do that you and your partner have been bidding back and forth and have a good suit, and they've sacrificed against you. Usually it means they don't have your suit. They're short in your suit, and they will be trumping that as soon as possible. That sometimes is a good reason to lead trump, so that they won't be able to use shortness on the short side to trump into your suit. They're short in your suit because you and your partner have been bidding back and forth and have a lot in your suit. So that's one time it's good to do it. You and your partner wound up at a 4 heart contract and they bid 5 diamonds. because were bidding, had a good diamond suit. They don't really expect to make 5 diamonds. Then you might want to lead trump to keep them from being able to trump, you know, that they're short in your hearts. The second time to do it is when it would be dangerous for you to lead anything yourself, because you would be having to underlead an ace or even underlead a king. We don't like underleading a king, and we never underlead an ace at a suit contract. At no trump, it's okay to underlead an ace, to lead a lower card in a suit that's headed by an ace. In a suit contract, you can never, ever, ever underlead an ace. And there are hardly any rules in bridge that you never, ever, ever do something. But in this never underleading an ace at a suit contract is one of those never, ever do rules. And I've told you guys this story, I know before, but I was playing with a really good guy one time, and I underled an ace. This was years ago. He was mentoring me. I underled an ace, and he said, well, Sally, that's not a good idea to do, and here's why. And I said, okay. And then a couple of plays later in this game, I thought, well, here's a situation I should underlead the ace. And anyway, I did it 3 times in one, you know. He had a conversation with me afterwards about why you don't underlead an ace. And he was one that said, there is no never in bridge and there is no always in bridge. But he did tell me, there is no underleading an ace. You never underlead an ace. The problem with underleading an ace in a suit contract is threefold, actually. Number one, your partner is never going to believe that you have an ace because of the rules. So if you underlead an ace, partner is going to assume the ace is in declarer's hand because he can see dummy in his hand and he knows it's not there. He's going to assume declarer has the ace. That's problem number one. The reason you should never underlead an ace is because that the king is what you were hoping to make good. So if you underlead an ace, you hope your partner has the king and then your ace will be good. Well, there's 3 other people at the table and only one of them is your partner. So there's 2 other people that can have the king. So if your partner has it, great, you won, but that's going to happen 1/3 of the time. 2/3 of the time, the king is going to take the trick, which, you know, if you had held on to your ace, you might have been able to keep the king trapped. So that's one problem. The second problem is that in a suit contract, if you don't lead your ace and you try to develop the king in your partner's suit, you're likely to get trumped before you can ever use your ace. So don't underlead an ace at a suit contract. If you want to lead that suit, lead the ace. Even though the rule says if you lead the ace, you have the king. So you need to remember that rule and remember that you're going to be misleading your partner a little bit if you choose to lead a suit that has the ace and you choose to lead the ace. So those are just some things to think about. But whatever you do, don't underlead an ace. Or I will have to tell Jack Lacey, who was the guy that made the rule. So let's go over to page 62, because there's some examples here of choosing which card to lead. Okay, so page 62, and here we have a bidding sequence. The bidding has gone 1 diamond, 1 heart, 2 hearts, 4 hearts. Okay, so we have a 4-heart contract. You're on lead against a 4-heart contract. You have that first hand there. What are you going to choose to lead?
Queen of clubs.
The queen of clubs. The queen of clubs. You might as well lead your best suit, give partner some information. Now, what should partner expect you to have in the club suit if you lead the queen of clubs?
The jack.
The jack, and that's it. In this case, you have the 10, that's good, but you're only promising the jack. Let's look at the next one.
The spade, six of
Bottom
spade.
of something. The bottom of something.
The singleton spade.
Okay, the singleton spade is one option. The problem with the other two suits, diamonds is only 4 cards. You do have a 5-card club suit, and you do have a few trump, which we said you would need if you had a long suit. But that suit is so far from being able to be set up that there's no point in leading that. And so in this case, the singleton is the best lead. And you at least have some trump that you have a chance of maybe getting back before the opponents have drawn all your trump in.
Oh, that's your truth.
Okay. So the 6 of spades is okay. Good lead. And there's no point in drawing trump because we have no reason to think that they are going to be trumping anything. You know, we haven't bid anything. They don't know if we don't know of a suit that they could trump. So 6 of spades would be good. Let's look at the next one.
King of clubs?
King of clubs. Here we do have a suit that might make sense to set up. And look how many hearts we've got.
4.
4 hearts. So they're going to have a hard time drawing trump in before we can set up clubs. As a matter of fact, clubs are going to be set up as soon as the ace is gone. So in this case, the king of clubs would be the better choice than the 8 of spades. And when we play the king, again, we're just promising the queen, although we have the king, queen, jack. Let's look at the next one then. Here we have the king, queen of spades. We've got the ace to the 5th of clubs. So what will we choose to lead here?
King of spades?
King of spades.
The king of spades. The club suit, you know, we might think, well, maybe that could get set up. But the problem with the club suit is we can't underlead the ace. And if we lead the ace, there's a lot missing in between the ace and the next card. And it would also confuse our partner because they would expect the king. Hopefully they could see the king in another hand, but if they couldn't, you'd really be misleading them. So best to lead the king of spades, which does promise the queen. At least we've given them that piece of information. Then let's look at the next one on the top of page 63.
That one's tough
This is tough.
because the spades and the clubs are kind of alike.
Yep,
And they've bid the diamonds and the hearts.
yep.
So I'd say either one.
Either one of
Lead
what?
a trump.
Pardon?
When you don't know anything else, then lead a trump.
Well, when anything else is dangerous, more than that, when anything else is dangerous, look at your 3 suits there. All 3 of those suits are headed by the king. You know, hopefully you lead one of those suits, maybe partner has the ace. But you don't know. And so how do you pick one of those? Any one of them is dangerous. Any one of them, you may lead, you know, that and find out that the ace queen is sitting, you know, behind you in dummy.
Right.
Or worse, you lead around to the ace queen and declarer's hand and give them a free finesse. Both of those things are bad.
So what do you do?
What do you think?
Lead a trump.
Lead a trump.
Which trump? The
Oh,
8 or the 4?
Doesn't make too much difference. I'd lead the 4.
Okay.
But when you're leading trump, it really doesn't make it
You don't need to follow.
because you're not
Boston.
giving partner information.
Right. Okay.
No, that's why we choose which card we choose usually, but in trump, it doesn't make too much difference. I'd lead small. In this case, they're all small though, but I'd lead the 4, smallest one. Okay, does anybody have any questions on leads then? Okay, all right, that is it then for opening leads. No trump, We try to find a long, strong suit to lead. We lead fourth down from the longest. If we lead an honor, we're promising 3 honors, and we're promising that we're leading the top of touching honors. In a suit contract, we try to find our strength right away. So we usually lead what we know may come back to bring something to partner. We lead partner suit if they have bid the suit. Otherwise, we lead bottom of something, Boston, bottom of something, top of nothing. We don't underlead aces. We rarely lead trump. Only if there's a good reason to lead trump do we lead trump, and that's because we're afraid of other things, or we think they may be using trump to trump our suit. And we don't underlead aces. Did I already say that? I think I'm.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today.
Thank you
We're gonna
very
be
much,
discussing-
Sally.
Sally,
Next time.
See you
Bye.
Friday.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.